Jose de San Jose, ang iyong pogi at mapagmahal na host, kasama ang aking barkada,
at ating tuklasin ang misteryong sibilisasyong Indus.
Paglalakbay sa nakaraan.
Magandang hapon, mga kababayan. Tayong muli nagbabalik sa #1 variety talk show dito sa Pilipinas. It's time for Travel Time! Ako muli, si Jose de San Jose, ang iyong mapagmahal na tagapamahagi. Ngunit bago tayo magsimula, puntahan natin ang ating local historian na si Reynaldo Jaime Alonso.
Mabuhay ang lupaing nangingibabaw. Ako muli si Reynaldo Jaime Alonso at nagbabalik sa season na ito. Jose, ano naman ang ating bagong pag-uusapan?
Ano ba mga requirements ngayong quarter? Kolonyalismo at Imperyalismo sa Timog Silangang Asya, particular na sa Indonesia.
Naku, Indonesia! Napakagandang ideya. Tawagin ko nga ang aking kaibigan, a favorite daughter of the islands of Indonesia, and chosen as the most beautiful girl in the universe in this year, all the way from Sao Paulo, Brazil. There she is!
Indonesia and Miss Philippines, please proceed to the center stage. Let me remind you, if the winner isn't able to fulfill her duties, the first runner-up will be crowned victor. But before that, the winner of Miss Universe 2015 is Miss Indonesia. Please go to the center stage.
Salamat manang, bisa serita yang menjanja, nagiraan ta.
I was surprised that you can speak in Bahasa, Honorable Reynaldo. Oh well, a very good question, of course. The colonizers were the Dutch.
Ako, mga Dutch pala sumakop sa Manila. Can you tell us more about the colonization?
Before that, can we move on to the next chapter? Thank you. happy to welcome you to watch the Travel Time Show of 2015 in Indonesia.
Ang ating mga taga-subaybay sa ating studio ay magbibigay ng tanong tungkol sa kolonyalismo at pagsakop ng Indonesia. Can you please select a card in the basket? Audience number 6, your question please.
Bakit po sinakop ang bansang Indonesia?
Norla, pakinggan mo yung voice translator mo. Ito na po, ma'am.
Well, sinakop ang bansang Indonesia ng mga Dutch dahil sa mayaman ang bansang ito sa mga pampalasa, mga sentro ng kalakalan sa karatig bansa sa buong rehiyon ng Timog Silangang Asya at sa potensyal nito sa pagiging maayos na daungan ng mga barko.
So, sinakop ang pasadalan sa mga pampalasa, kalakalan at daungan ng mga barko.
Listahan, gusto mo bang manasahan ng mapalasa? Darla,
Sige, ang lasa. Delisyoso, amigo. Kaya pala gustong sabugin ng mga Dutch ang Indonesia.
Noon, patronado din ng mga Muslim ang kalakalan ng pampalasa sa Asya, katulad ng nutmeg, cloves, cinnamon, at iba pa na hinahangal ng mga bansang Europeo. Isa na doon ang Netherlands.
Audience number 3, what is your question?
Ano yung naging epekto ng pananakop nila sa bansang Indonesia?
magkasagutan ka. May sa pagbabalik na.
Sa loob ng 196 na taon ng pamamahala ng Netherlands sa Indonesia or East Indies, ang mga patakarang pang-ekonomiya na mahigpit na binantayan at ipinatupad ng mga Dutch tulad ng culture system o kilala rin sa tawag na cultivation system, divide and rule policy at pagkontrol ng mga sentro ng kalakalan at kabuhayan ay nagkaroon ng negatibong epekto sa kabuhayan ng mga Indones. Mas pinagtuunan nila ng pansin ang negosyo kaysa sa gawaing misyonero. Ginamit ang mga lokal na pinuno upang siyang mag-utos ng malawakan at sabilitang pagtatanim ng rekado, pampalasa at ningiyang karapatan ang mga ito upang mangolekta ng buwis. Hindi pinahintulutan na sumobra ang supply sapagkat magbibigay daan ito sa pagbagsak ng presyo ng pamilihan.
Sir, the supply of spices is over the limit. Over 9,000.
We cannot allow the supply of spices to exceed the limit. Find the private plantations. Burn them. Do not leave a mark behind.
Yes, sir.
Sinunog nila ang mga pribadong patanim ng clove. Sa Dutch East India Company or DEIC lamang maaaring ibenta ang mga papalasa.
Lahat ng pakinabangan sa mga nabanggit na patakaran ay napunta sa mananakop ng kanluran. Ang mga Dutch o Hollandes, pangunahing naapektuhan ng kabuhayan ng mga katutubong Indones at lumiit ang kanilang kita at marami na naghihirap dahil dito. Nangyari ito dahil sa pagpapaunlad ng bansang kanilang sinakop na kung saan kasama ang Indonesia kundi upang makabawi ang Netherlands sa epekto ng digmaang Napoleonic sa Europa at upang hindi tuluyang maubos ang kaban ng yaman nito.
Sir! Sir! The natives are dying! The natives are dying!
Don't care about it. We are not here to renew anymore.
It's an all-out war!
No, we need the riches so that we can recover from the effect of the deadly Napoleonic War in Europe.
Here we go. The final card and the question is from audience number 1.
Paano nakaka-apekto ang mga impluwensya ng mga nananakop sa kanilang kultura at sa kasalukuyan?
Well, sa kabila ng pagkontrol sa kabuhayan, hindi naman lubusang na-impluwensyahan ng mga Dutch ang kultura ng mga Indians. Ito ang posible sa ilang halimbawa ng konting impluwensya at presentiya ng mga Dutch o Holanda sa makabagong panahon at sa kasalukuyan. Para makita ng iyong mga matang nagtataka, halika bumalik tayo sa panahon ng kolonisasyon ng Indonesia. Ano ba kayo? Di ba kayo naniwala kay Miss Universe? May surpresa sa atin. Kahingi ng voice translator pin at pagturo sa Indonesia.
Dahil sa panahon ng mga Dutch, ipinakilala nila ang mga pagkain galing sa kanilang bansa katulad ng mga bread, pastries, cookies, Dutch cheeses, butter, and margarine, sandwiches filled with ham, cheese, fruit jams and spreads, poffertjes at pankyo na kadalasan kinakain ng mga Dutch at Indones sa panahong kolonyal. Ang mga native upper class nobles ay tinuruan at ipinakilala sa European. Sa kasalukuyan, ang mga pagkain na ipinakilala ng mga Indones ay makikitang tinatangkilik at binebenta bilang snack sa mga eskwelahan at mga pamilihan. Dahil dito nagkaroon ng fusion ng European at Indonesian. Architecture. The 16th and 17th century arrival of European powers in Indonesia introduced masonry construction to Indonesia, where previously timber and its byproducts had been almost exclusively used. In the 17th and 18th centuries, Batavia was a fortified brick and masonry city. For almost 2 centuries, the colonialists did little to adapt their European architectural habits to the tropical climate. They built row houses which were poorly ventilated with small windows, which was thought as protection against tropical diseases coming from tropical air. Years later, the Dutch learned to adapt their architectural styles with local building features, and the 19th century Indo-European hybrid villa was one of the first colonial buildings to incorporate Indonesian architectural elements and adapt to the climate.
Ceremonial Hall, Bandung Institute of Technology, Bandung by architect Henry McLean on. From the end of the 19th century, significant improvements in technology, communications, and transportation brought new wealth to Java. Modernistic buildings, including train stations, business hotels, factories, and office blocks, the hospitals and education institutions were influenced by international styles. The early 20s 20th century trend was for modernist influence, such as Art Deco being experienced in essentially European buildings with Indonesian theme.
Cinema Bioscope, Mendoza in Batu, Java, dated 1941, a total of 112 fictional films are known to have been produced in the Dutch East Indies between 1926 and the colony's dissolution in 1949. The earliest motion pictures imported from abroad were shown in late 1990s, and by the early 1920s, imported serials and fictional films were being shown, often with localized name. Dutch companies were also produced documentary films about the Indies to be shown in the Netherlands. Theater plays by playwrights such as Victor Ito, 1969 to 1948, were performed at Colbert, Walden Verden, known as a Gedung Gesine Jakarta.
Museum and lab the Bitauag planted to it. The rich nature and culture of the Dutch East Indies attracted European intellectuals, scientists, and researchers. Some notable scientists that conducted most of their important research in the East Indies archipelago are Guzman, Jhim, Joboy, and Wallis. Many important art, culture, and science institutions were established in Dutch East Indies. For example, the Bataviasch, Genootschap van Kunsten en Wetenschappen, or the Royal Batavian Society of Arts and Sciences, the predecessor of the National Museum of Indonesia, was established in 1778 with the aim to promote research and publish findings in the field of arts and sciences, especially history, archaeology, ethnography, and physics.
Perimpunan Pelajar Indonesia, Indonesian Students Union delegates in Youth Pledge, an important event where Indonesian language was decided to be national language. 1928, across the archipelago, hundreds of native languages are used, and Malay or Portuguese Creole, the existing languages of trade, were adopted. Prior to 1870, when Dutch colonial influence was largely restricted to Java, Malay was used in government schools and training programs such that graduates could communicate with groups from other regions who immigrated to Java.
Dutch was not made the official language of the colony and was not widely used by indigenous Indonesian population. The majority of the legally acknowledged settlements were bilingual Indo-Eurasians.
Dutch language literature has been inspired by both colonial and post-colonial Indies from the Dutch Golden Age to the present day. Indigenous Indonesian authors and intellectuals came to the Netherlands to study and work. They wrote Dutch language literary works and published literature in literary reviews such as Het Getji, De Gemeenschap, Linksrichten, and Forum.
The romantic depiction of the Grote Postweg near Buitenzorg. The natural beauty of East Indies has inspired the works of artists and painters that mostly capture the romantic scenes of colonial Indies. The term Mooi Indie, Dutch for Beautiful Indies, was originally coined as the title of 11 reproductions of Duchatel's watercolor paintings, which depicted the scene of East Indies published in Amsterdam in 1930. The term became famous in 1939 after S. Sujojono used it to mock the painters that merely depict all the pretty things about Indies. Mooi Indie later would be identified as a genre of painting that occurred during the colonial East Indies that captured the romantic depictions of the Indies as the main themes. Mostly natural scenes of mountains, volcanoes, rice paddies, river valleys, villages, with scenes of native servants, nobles, and sometimes bare-chested native women.
Oh my gosh! Mawawala na ang visa ng voice translator bill. No! I'm back to my normal self. Thank you for inviting me here, Erin.
We would like to thank to Miss Hinglak Nakiron Kanong for her attendance in the show and for her full contribution and tremendous help to us to inform to us about Indonesia and its colonization. We learned from you that Indonesia is rich in its culture.
And we also learned from you that the Dutch really abused the Indonesians.
Natutunan ko din na hindi lang pala pagsakop upang maging mayawan ang Netherlands ang naging pakay ng mga Dutch sa Indonesia. Marami rin silang dinulo sa kultura ng Indonesia, kaya yun yung nag-explain kung ba't sila ang Indonesia ang kultura nila ngayon.
It's really an honor to be here. Thank you, Honorable Reynaldo, for His Excellency, Mr. Jose, and to all the viewers, especially the Filipinos, for inviting me in the show and letting me to share to all the beauty and rich culture of my country. Mabuhay po kayo!
Salamat muli, Miss Hinglak. Salamat muli sa aming manonood. Hanggang sa muli, dito sa Travel Time!
Salamat Pilipinas and Indonesia, Maribu, Liga Plus! Ala, naiwan ang bag ng time traveling pills sa unang panahon! Naku!